Well, good afternoon to you, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon, nice afternoon again. I do hope you've all been having a good time in Llandudno. My name is John, and welcome aboard the Marine Drive Tour. Now, we'll take about an hour to go round today, and on the way round, I'll tell you a little bit about the history of Llandudno, the Great Orme. Now, just before we do set off, I'll give you a quick insight into how this unique town, the Llandudno, got started. Now, we call this town unique because it's the only purpose-built holiday resort in Wales. Now, our story dates back to 1844. I'll continue this in a moment. I'm just going to pull forward because the open top's coming in and the land train will do for us. Yeah, like I was saying, our story dates back to 1844. Now, all this part, well, it was just marshland, sand dunes, and a shingle beach, with occasional fishermen's huts, which broke the bleakness of the place. There was a cluster of cottages, and those cottages were set up on the Great Orme, where the people got their livelihood from farming, fishing, and mining. There was a copper mine up there called the Llandudno copper mine. The only public house in the area at the time, well, that was the King's Head, which is situated up by the tram station there. Now, a man by the name of Owen Williams, he was an architect from Liverpool, and he was visiting the area with a friend. His friend was actually going to a shareholders' meeting of the Llandudno copper mines, and with time to spare, Owen Williams took a walk up on the Great Orme, and later that evening he was having a drink in the King's Head public house, and he said to his friend, "What a beautiful place this is, and it would make an ideal watering place," as the Victorians used to call it. Now, that conversation was overheard by a man by the name of John Williams, a Badavon, who worked for Lord Mostyn. Lord Mostyn, he was the wealthy landowner from these parts, and he lived on the outskirts of Llandudno, in a place known today as Bodysgellen Hall. John Williams told Lord Mostyn about the conversation he'd heard, so a meeting was arranged between Lord Mostyn, Owen Williams, and John Williams, and that meeting took place in a fisherman's hut down here on the beach, and Lord Mostyn commissioned Owen Williams to draw up the plans to build the watering place, and that's when the idea actually became a reality. Now, all the hotels along the frontier, now these were the very first buildings go up in Llandudno, and when they were being built, Lord Mostyn ordered that they all had to be painted in pastel colours, and that rule still applies today. And this promenade, well, you won't find any burger stalls or buskers, anything like that. They're all completely banned, which I personally think is a very good idea. Makes the promenade lovely and clean, looking as it is today. It's a lovely prom. And the very first hotel to open its doors in Llandudno, well, that was the St. George's. Just along the frontier, it's got a very large tower by it, and that opened in 1854. And when it first did open, its postal address read the St. George's Hotel near Llandudno. And that was because Llandudno was regarded to be on the Great Orme. But it took until about 1860 until this place actually began to resemble a holiday resort. So that's basically how the town got started. So we'll get moving along now. So sit back, and I do hope you enjoy the rest of the tour. Thank you. You're welcome. Now, just coming up here on your left, you'll notice the War Memorial, and that stands in Prince Edward Square, and it was built in 1922. And the Golden Globe you can see on the top of it, well, that now is the insignia for the Royal Welsh Fusiliers. And as we approach the roundabout here, street crossing it is known as Mostyn Street, named after the Mostyn family, of course. When Mostyn Street was being built, Lord Mostyn ordered that all the buildings along here must not be higher than the actual width of the street. And Llandudno itself was actually built on a grid system. either vertical or horizontal. Ahead of us you can see the Grand Hotel, and that opened in 1901. And when it first opened, it was the largest hotel in Wales, and it was built on the site of the old Bath Reading Rooms and Billiard Halls. Sir Winston Churchill stayed in the Grand Hotel for the Conservative Party conference in 1948, and he stayed in room 109. Now, just before we approach the Grand Hotel, if you look down to your right, you'll see the remains of the old Pavilion Theatre that used to be here, just coming up in your right. Now, the Pavilion Theatre, it opened in 1886, and in its heyday, it would hold over 2,000 people. It closed down in 1985, but on the 13th of February, 1994, some homeless people broke in. Feeling a bit cold, they decided to light a fire. But they had a fire okay, because they actually burnt the whole building down. You can still see the stairways there from the old Pavilion Theatre, which is still part of the listed building. Great shape, it was a lovely building. And just coming into view ahead of us now is the pier. This is in fact the second pier that's been here in Llandudno. First pier was built in 1858, and that one was built from wood. But during a heavy storm in 1859, the pier was swept away. So this second pier was built in 1877, and this one was built from steel, and that was at a cost of £25,000. And the length of this pier is 2,295 feet. And we used to have regular ships coming here from Isle of Man and Liverpool. But the most famous one we've ever had was the Royal Yacht Britannia. And docked here on the 2nd of July, 1969. And on board was Prince Charles, who departed as the new Prince of Wales, having had the previous name in the best picture at Llandudno Castle. And if you look to your left along here, along this grass bank, you'll actually see the name Llandudno, and that used to bring the ships when they used to come to the pier. And this part of Llandudno is known as Happy Valley, and it was laid down in 1818. Just approaching the toll house now on the Marine Drive. This toll house was built in 1878, and the original toll to go round the Marine Drive, well, that used to be 1 penny for horse-drawn carriages. It is actually £3 a day for cars. So here we are, we're on the Marine Drive now, and it's about 4.5 miles away until we get to the shore. And before this Marine Drive was built, there was a path that went round this great hub. Now that path was very narrow and it was very dangerous. And in 1868, the Prime Minister, William Blackburn, was visiting Llandudno. Now he decided to take a walk around the path to go visit the place in the town so that it was short. Halfway round, William Blackburn started to suffer from vertigo. The friends were with him and to blindfold him and lead him the rest of the way you look over to your right, you can see the little orme. There's about 2 miles between these two ormes, and the little orme is 436 feet high. And in 1907, there was a load of Roman coins found on the little orme, which are now in the British Museum. And you may notice the little orme looks a little bit like an elephant, with its trunk in the water. A bit of imagination needed there. If you look to your left along here, you'll notice a little stone remain. Little half-circle stone remain. Just coming up towards it, on the left area. Now this dates back to the First World War, when it was used as a lookout post. Wow. And it was also known as a pillbox. And looking directly ahead of us now, slightly up, we can see St. Sudner's Church. It's directly ahead of us, slightly up, St. Sudner's Church. There's been a church up on that site since the 6th century, when a Welsh Christian missionary called Llandudno arrived here and brought Christianity to the area. He built the original church on that site out of wood. That particular church was replaced in the 12th century by a stone-built one. But during a heavy storm in 1839, the roof of the church was completely blown off. It was then left abandoned for 20 years. There's also a public cemetery up there in St. Sudner, and by 1903 it had become such a popular place to be buried that the council had to place an order on it, so that the only people that could be buried up there were lords and ladies, people who had lived on the great all their